Hello from Barista Course Hamburg. Last autumn, we were looking for trends, innovations, and especially new machines at Host in Milan. And while we were there, at the Timemore booth, we discovered this small, inconspicuous WDT tool tucked away in a corner. Specifically, it's an electronic WDT tool. The first thought was, of course, oh, how nice, that's great. And the second, do you really need something like that? And that's exactly what we're going to look at today. That means on the one hand, we'll discuss this WDT tool. We'll naturally try it out live here, and on the other hand, we'll ask the fundamental question, do you even need a WDT tool? And if so, what should you look for when buying one? And above all, what should you look for when using the WDT tool? And whether the new electric WDT tool from Timemore lives up to its promises, you'll see that in a moment. Anyone who's looked into espresso and even extraction knows that the better you prepare your espresso puck, the more reproducible it becomes. And of course, the better the final result will be. And a good tool can help you out a little bit with that. And if you're interested in topics like this, we'd be really happy if you'd support us by subscribing, because that helps us grow our reach a bit and enables us to keep producing videos like this for you. And for that, we'd like to thank you very much in advance. But now let's talk about this tool here. At the moment, you can't even find it on the Timemore website yet. But we happened to discover it while browsing the internet and ordered it right away. Back then at the trade fair, they said it would cost about $30. We paid, I think, almost 53 euros for it now, including shipping costs. But first, a quick question. What even is a WDT tool? WDT stands for Weiss Distribution Technique Tools. That means a Monsieur Weiss invented it at some point. In German, it's also often called a needle tool because that's exactly what it is. The idea is that we use very, very fine little needles to loosen up our coffee grounds and distribute them much better within our portafilter or basket than we otherwise could. This is supposed to improve the taste, but above all, it's meant to prevent channeling. Channeling occurs when water flows unevenly through our coffee puck. This means that, for example, due to poor preparation of our coffee puck, we've created hairline cracks in it. And the 9 bars of water pressure find these small channels, hence channeling, immediately. And they race through these small channels with 9 bars of water pressure. And when we catch the water, we see, okay, it's still relatively clear, meaning there are hardly any aromas in it. And that leads to a watery coffee, which of course particularly affects the overall taste of our espresso. That means it can become too sour, it can become too bitter, it just becomes unbalanced, and that's exactly what we want to avoid most. But it's not just poor preparation that can cause the problem, underdosing in our basket can too. This means every basket is designed for a certain number of grams that we should fill it with, and we should do that. Because if you put too little in your basket, you have the problem that the headroom, which is the space from the surface of the coffee grounds to the shower screen, where the water flows onto the puck. This distance might then be too large, and those 9 bars of water pressure have enough time and, above all, power to churn up and wash out the coffee puck. And then we have exactly the same problem. This means the water flows unevenly and potentially too quickly through our coffee puck, and we get bad espresso. And besides the tamper and the leveler, there's also this needle tool, this WDT tool. This is meant to prevent exactly that. If you want to get a WDT tool, whether it's electric or manually operated, you should look out for 2 things. First of all, the needles shouldn't be too thick, because if we have needles that are too thick, the distribution won't be as good. That means there might be very, very large grooves, and closing those again by tamping isn't quite so easy. And secondly, you should make sure that the distribution is spirographic. That means with overlapping movements. It's like a kind of chaos that's created in your coffee puck. Because that way we achieve the same thing, that we don't get any grooves. And if we have a WDT tool that only moves in a circular motion, meaning you have different needles at different levels, then you just create circular holes or rings in your coffee puck, and you have to close those again too, because otherwise you'll have a channeling problem in those exact spots, and that's not good. As mentioned, the spirographic WDT tools create a wonderful distribution in your coffee puck which eliminates channeling, or at least can eliminate it. And that's exactly what it's all about. And that is exactly how the WDT tool from Timemore works. And as I said, not manually but electrically. The housing is really very, very high quality in its finish. It's made of what is presumably anodized aluminum. The whole thing is charged via a USB-C port. However, neither a charger nor a cable is included. According to the description, the needles reach about 22 millimeters deep into your basket. Unfortunately, the height cannot be adjusted. That means you can't adapt it to your basket. I think that's a bit of a shame. Maybe they could have somehow built in a small additional adjustment. The manual says you should just cut them off. I find that a bit unconventional, but it's certainly doable. The manual also states that you should use straight baskets and not baskets that are tapered at the bottom. Sounds like a disadvantage at first. However, we've naturally tried it with such baskets and haven't noticed anything negative so far. I'd say we just try it out live right here in front of the camera. And for that, I've intentionally chosen a grinder that doesn't grind quite so well and fluffily. And on the other hand, we're using our stone to check it all. I think the stone is a bit underrated. I actually think it's quite a nice machine. We didn't use the original portafilter. We want to see if we get any channeling. That's why we used a bottomless portafilter. If you'd like some more detailed information about the stone, just write it in the comments, because maybe we'll just discuss it. I think it's I don't know. I think it's actually a nice little machine. By the way, we have a few more things planned for it. Anyone who's seen our recent films knows that we're in a bit of an optimization mode anyway. We've rebuilt our Gisela. We've developed small tools for the new Malkonig grinder. We developed a funnel for it, a cup riser specifically for the WPM machine. Then we're currently in the process of developing another small but exciting tool for the Akaya scales, but we'll present that to you soon. But as I said, let's just try it out. Of course, I need a scale for that, and I'll use our Malkonig scale here. Don't be surprised that we haven't made a film about it yet. I don't find it that ideal yet. Also, the interaction with the grinder, which I'm very enthusiastic about, isn't that great. Well, you see, now it's sitting here awkwardly. Now it works like this. So now we have to try to grind 18 grams into here. And I hope you can see clearly how clumpy it comes out of the grinder here. We don't have enough yet. It could also be that the grind size is a bit too fine, then this happens. But we also want to have pore conditions for our WDT tool, and we're going to try to make this as precise as possible now. As I said, this tool works electrically. We have a small pin down here. I hope you can see it clearly. There it is. And that's how the whole thing starts automatically. It moves a total of 4 times, twice in one direction and twice in the other direction. This is supposed to give us perfectly distributed coffee grounds. So I'm just going to put it on now. Don't need to do anything. I hope you can see that. So now it's run once in one direction, once in the other, and then the same again. It's not that impressive, but it did distribute some of it. Let's try it a second time. It doesn't handle these big clumps very well, I must say. I've tried this on other grinders and the result is much better there. But here it really was extremely clumpy. Let's try to adjust the grind size a little bit. We'll see in a moment how the extraction goes, whether it takes a long time or not. Let's just take a look at it. All right, so I'm going to stop leveling now because what I really want to do is just tamp and see if any channeling happens or if maybe it would have been better to level again beforehand. Now, I'm using our electronic tamper again, just like before. Let's see what happens. That looks very decent now, of course. I hope you can see that well. So let's give the whole thing a try. Of course, what we really want to see here is that our times are, for the most part, more or less maintained throughout the process. Now, let's take a closer look and see if we have any channeling happening or not, just to be sure. I'll stop now after about 25 seconds and see if we... Let's just take a brief moment here to pause and check if we... Great. The grind size wasn't bad at all. We've reached 36 grams after 25 seconds, and I have the impression there was a tiny bit of channeling. But it wasn't anything dramatic. I'll give it a taste. Super. Totally delicious. This is our new coffee that we make ourselves. Our Choco Breeze, more Italian style, really delicious. So flavor-wise, that was already a great success. As you just saw, after distributing with the WDT tool, it didn't look quite so great in the portafilter, and I didn't use a leveler. That is something that I personally definitely recommend. Once you've used a WDT tool, definitely use a leveler afterwards to distribute the coffee grounds even better. Let's take a look at how the whole thing looks. I hope that you can see it clearly. Yes. So it's a bit puffed up. It's not 100% perfect, but basically it doesn't look too bad at all. Now let's try the whole thing again with a leveler. For that, I'm simply going to grind some more. Sorry. 18.0, wonderful. So I hope that you can see it a bit better now. I think now you can also see nicely how it's going. Yeah, it's really difficult with these grounds, so it doesn't really loosen them up properly. But now, as I said, I'll use my leveler again. Yeah, now the whole thing looks quite decent. And of course, still need to tamp. Yep, that's right. Yo. And a new cup. And here we go. Yeah, that looks pretty good. We have a tiny bit more in the cup now. I had set it a touch coarser earlier, but I didn't grind out the retention. So we have a bit of a mix. We have now, what was that just now? 41 instead of 36 grams in 25 seconds. So I'll try this one too, of course. It's got a nice creamer here. Delicious. We have a very tiny bit more in the cup now. I didn't actually want to have that, but even the 41 grams taste quite excellent now. And as you have seen, that worked out pretty well. The first time, which we will take another look at in the replay, there seems to have been a bit of channeling for a moment. Yes, that we can of course take another look at that too. So how does it look now? It actually looks quite decent now. This grinder is unfortunately a bit difficult in terms of the grounds it produces. So the WDT tool has to do a lot here, but it didn't loosen it up quite as well as hoped. I have grinders that do not eject such heavy clumps. But I think even here it definitely did not hurt, but seems to have even supported the whole thing a little bit. Maybe fundamentally once more, what are the advantages of a WDT tool? In most cases, you achieve a better distribution of your coffee grounds, especially with a grinder like this one here that doesn't work quite as effectively. The WDT tool didn't quite manage to perfectly break up and distribute all the clumps, but it clearly seems to have done a much better job than before. And with this better distribution, you prevent channeling and the water can flow much more consistently and evenly through your coffee puck, especially if you have a better grinder, which naturally extracts the flavors better and more evenly from your espresso. Ultimately, this leads to better reproducibility. This means the result in your cup will be much closer to your target, not just in terms of taste, but also in terms of volume and the grams that end up in the cup. And maybe a small note regarding single-dose grinders, as they often have the problem of static charge. And that leads to you often getting many more fines at the end. You can see that when you blow out your grinder, then you'll see lots and lots of fine little particles coming out. And with a WDT tool, I can potentially distribute these a bit better in my puck. That would be an advantage for me, for example. But the question is for you, how do you see it? Do you need a WDT tool? Is it necessary? Is it not necessary? And the question in particular, is it necessary to have an electric WDT tool? Because in terms of sustainability, that's not quite as advantageous. And that means we have lithium batteries in here again. We have power consumption. The effort to manufacture it is a bit greater than the simple printed ones, for example, that you can get everywhere on the internet. There are also other great ones, some made of aluminum. That's a question everyone has to answer for themselves. I must confess, I really enjoyed working with this WDT tool. I've had it at home for a while now. To summarize briefly once more, do you need a WDT tool? Yes or no? In principle, it can't hurt. But as I said, it can also support you a bit with your workflow. Also regarding the Timemore WDT tool. If we have a grinder like this one that produces really heavy clumping, then unfortunately it doesn't work quite as well. But unfortunately, it doesn't work the way I would have liked. Here's another small example. When we used a different grinder, it worked excellently. According to the manual, you shouldn't use conical baskets either. We tried it anyway. As you saw, it works regardless. Maybe it won't work if you use extremely tapered baskets. We haven't been able to determine how long the tool runs on one charge yet, because we've used it for about, I think, 3 weeks now and haven't had to recharge it yet. In itself, I like the tool and it works quite well. We haven't been able to determine how long the tool runs on one charge yet, because we've used it for about, I think, 3 weeks now and haven't had to recharge it yet. So the question for you, do you need it? Don't you need it? Please feel free to write it in the comments. I'm very, very curious to hear what you have to say about it. And with that, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. Maybe we were able to help you a bit, and maybe we were able to make the decision for or against a WDT tool, or maybe even for this one here, a little easier for you. If you liked our video, then we're naturally happy about every like and every comment. And we're even happier, of course, if you subscribe to our channel, because as I said, that helps us a lot to be able to continue running this one and to continue performing these or other tests for you. For that, we'd naturally like to thank you very much in advance. And until next time, we wish you drink a delicious espresso. See you soon.